Hello friends, and welcome back to another episode of Manly Made Minutes Monday Moment, where I share tips, tricks, and helpful hints. I am really excited to share this one with you today. This one is for those of you who've been doing crafts and cards for a long time. You've heard of this before. Some of you do it, some of you don't. Those of you that are newer to card making, you may not have heard this term before. You might have seen it and didn't know what it was called, but today's all about gutting. Yep, I said it, gutting, like gut rot. And so this is for those of you that like to stretch your card supplies as much as feasibly possible. I am one of those people, however, I do get lazy and don't do this all the time. And so this one is about taking your matting background. A lot of us use just a regular black background, and you can do this with colored paper if you use colored backgrounds, and do it with whatever you want, right? So I'm just going to use it as the black example today because that's just the most common that many of us use. This is about using this as your mat and then gutting out the middle section to use for sentiments, to use for other layers, and save them for when you need them. So let me show you, and then I'll show you my storage idea that I do for all these cutouts and this gutting that I do to use later. I will tell you, it's one of those things that you do it gets time consuming, right? So it's one of those, like, you're just bored, you're not feeling creative, but you still want to sit in the craft room and do something. This is one of those things that you can just sit and do, rather than try to be creative and come up with a card. But you still want to, I need to get my brain off of something and do something fun in the craft room. And this is one of those things that I do this in bulk. I am almost out, I believe. I saved these in my drawer here in a little basket. So I go through and I cut out a ton of my bases at one time. I generally, on a 5.5 by 4.25 card, will use the 5.25 by 4-inch mat. So let me show you. So this is my mat, this is my template, and there's a video on making these templates in my YouTube you can go to as well, and I'll link that below. So I use 5.25 by 4 more often than not. So I always cut these in bulk. Then when I do my cards, I will skip a measurement and then go to the next mat. So the next mat would be 5 by 3.75. And then that way I can layer this over my mat and have a nice little mat. Or I can go smaller, but I still have a nice black background for my mat. So let me show you what I do. We'll go to the down camera and we'll gut this a couple times, and then I'll show you my storage. All right, so let's go take a look. Okay, here we are. So just wanted to show you again. So this is the basket where when I cut all my bases out to the size that I like, and then I gut them and I store them in here. So this is like one of the gutted ones you can see right now, and I'm almost out. As you can see, I've got just a couple left in there, and I'll usually have this like half full. And again, this is one of those that I do when I just can't think of a card to make and just want to be in the craft room and I got to get caught up on some stuff. This is what I do. All right, let me just show you really quick again. So this is the card base size, 5.5 by 4.25. I will use the next size down for my base, so 5.25 by 4. And then I almost always, 99.9% of the time, when I do this, I will use this as my card base, this is my mat. I'll skip a size, so I'll skip my 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, and I'll go to the next size, 5 by 3 3/4, and use this for my card front, or smaller, right? But this is usually how I do it. So if I started, say, at 5 by 3 3/4 for my black mat, I'd skip a size, do the next size for my card front. And these templates and measurements are on my YouTube channel, and there's a video on all the measurements and how I made these. So just wanted to show you that really quick. And I use these every single day. All right. So here's my card mat at 5.25 by 4, and I use my die cuts to gut these, and I I just choose what I die cut it with for what I need at the time, or what I know if I'm going to be making some cards and I need some different mats and different things for sentiments, that's what I'll use. Right now, I know I'm going to be making some cards coming up where I'm going to need some squares that I'm going to put some flowers around, because I think my stock on those in my basket here that I'll show you later is almost out. So on a bigger one like this, I'll usually just center it and leave enough around the edge that I know that my card front will cover that, right? And then you just cut this out. Super easy. It just, again, it's a little time consuming. I have a Gemini that I use on top of my Big Shot. So sometimes I will stand over by my Gemini and I'll shove one through the Gemini as I'm doing one through the Big Shot, just so I can do double duty and do more in less time. So that's it. So now I've got a stitched die cut out for sentiments or whatever I need to use this for, ready to go. And then this is going to be my mat that would get covered by my card front or whatever design I'm putting on this, that I just put in my basket and I save for when I'm making cards. So another example that I do is if I'm using something smaller, again, I'm going to try to maximize what I can out of this, right? So I might set this one here. This is a smaller one, so I just cut out this one. I'm going down a size to use a smaller one. Then I'm going to add one here for sentiments. This one gets a lot of use. It's kind of bent, so I use this one a lot when I'm gutting and using for sentiments. I know that I've done this one before, that it's going to be a little thin here, but my card base will still cover that. I just got to make sure that I'm pretty centered and leave enough at the top so that I have even amounts to cover on either side. Again, cover that up, and you're just basically gutting this out. And then you have, now I've got two. So I've got this size, and now this size, and two out of this one. Okay, again, my card base should cover this, right? So if I'm doing 5" by 3 3/4 and I center that, I know that it's covered, right? All right, and you might want to measure these too. Check out what you're gutting with, just to make sure that your card bases or your card fronts are going to cover before you start gutting with different sizes of your die cuts. So that's it. I have done a whole bunch of different ones that I've already got stocked up. So let me show you my storage on these and what like different ones that I've gutted. So this is my little basket that I use. This has all of my like word dies and stuff in here, and then I've got my gutted die cuts out. So let me just take these out to show you. I use these Velcro envelopes for my die cuts. I use them for my stamps. As you can see, let me grab a stamp set here. This one is my Concord and 9th Turnabout. So it's just a larger size envelope, little Velcro, and this is what I store stuff in. I've got different sizes for the different size stamp sets, but I also use it for my die cuts when I gut. So you can see I put a piece of cardstock in here, put on here, just glued this to the cardstock of which ones are in here so that I have a reference when I'm flipping through and looking what I'm looking for. So I've got these ones, I've gutted out some ovals, I've gutted out this one. I don't have the card in here. This one I've done like this shape. See if you can see that. And then I've got all these different size ovals. Like this one in particular, I probably would have used all three of these and cut one at the same time and gut all three because they're small enough. I got a bunch of circles. I use these a lot. So I got a bunch of these. Big circle. Another one of just a rectangle. Small little ones for some sentiments. I use these for these little thank you sentiments on my Etsy order. So I cut a whole bunch of those out. There. So again, I'm just gutting for what I need, and I'm just kind of building my stock so that I'm not having to die cut a lot of this stuff at the same time I'm making a card. This I use some white stuff cardstock for, so I gut some white out for some white circles. So there you have it. That is gutting as we know it. I know it's not the most pretty word, but that is gutting your mats. Again, that's my black mats. Again, if you use colored mats and you want to gut them, because then you can have, let me grab, I think I had one in here with some different colored in there. Where did it go? I've got an envelope, and I can't find it, that's got some rectangles, colored rectangles cut out from Christmas. So I could got out the middles of some of my Christmas cards, so I've got colored ones. So it doesn't have to be black. Whatever you use, if you want to gut it, gut it. If you don't, and you're okay with it, I will tell you, let's go back up to the top camera and just tell you one last thing and close this out. All right, so the last thing I want to tell you was, do I do this all the time? No. If I'm in the middle of a card and I got to make a different size mat, I may not gut it. In the heat of the moment, I may just make the card and not gut it. I'm not that fussy about it, but it is one of those that if I have time and I want to, just get my stock up and have things ready to go, especially if I'm making in bulk. When I do bulk cards, I will definitely prep and get ready with stuff like this, so it's gutted out and ready to go, and that's why I like to keep a stock, because then if I'm making card packs and things, I got things ready to go. So that's my Monday moment for this week. Hope you like it. I know this varies in opinion of some people, like, no, I don't do it. I did it years ago. I don't do it anymore. That's fine. Just another tips, tricks, and helpful hint for all of you out there on what gutting is and if you want to do it or not. The last thing I want is hopefully I can encourage you all to, as my t-shirt says, I posted, #ThinkOutsideTheSplatterbox. And that's what this whole series is for. I've started another series, Scrappy Shorts, using up all our heap of scraps, and I'm hoping that this just encourages all of you just to think outside the splatter box and do something different. Or you might learn something new, as I'm learning things as I do this at the same time. So if you could just do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe and like and bell button, get notified when I upload my next video. Manly Made Minutes Monday Moment comes out every Monday at 10 a.m. and my Scrappy Shorts come out every Saturday at 9 a.m. And then we'll do a couple ones in between there. So hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all have a great, fantastic day, and thank you for being here. And until next time, I'll see you then.